Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Season 16 has been now upon us for a week. We have worked with the patch since December because we got to play it on TR99. For those who don't know, we get access to it earlier, so we get to practice on it. Especially a patch like this is massive and completely, game breaking and game changing in terms of the gameplay loop. Season 16, there seems to be no upcoming changes to the gameplay loop. They just have like champion nerfs and item changes, and everything is going to remain the same. So it's the perfect time to just rant about all the issues I have with the game currently and how far removed it is from what we've known. Obviously, all change doesn't need to be bad, but I do think that, a lot of things in terms of, let's say, the ways you can approach the game is very linear and one dimensional. Let's start with some of the things that are in place that really, really makes the gameplay loop, let's say, very repetitive and also at the same time very snowbally because strength inside and strength in champions matters so much because the snowball is so heavy. So obviously, first thing you know already, the top lane is very skewed because people are playing Ignite. They have access to TP and they have access to Home Guard. So anyone who's winning a matchup, if you win the matchup, get a kill with Ignite, you win a trade, you can bounce the wave, and then you have so many green wards. You can put them on Phaelites, and you can put a green ward in lane, so you can just freeze the lane endlessly because junglers don't really have time to come and pressure you off the wave. So winning top lane is extremely brutal. It's kind of like how it was in Season 2, where people played Ignite and mistakes weren't really allowed. But back then it was a lot easier to gank top because of the nature of things, and also you had to buy wards in order to place them unless you bought Rigger's Lantern. If you know about Rigger's Lantern, then you're an old school dude like me, but Rigger's Lantern was a jungle item that you could buy top that give you armor, lifesteal, and AD, and it also gave you a ward and a proc that could just one-shot minions, so it helped you push and whatever. So currently, in terms of the strength of things, Home Guard makes it so your decisions in terms of where you can open up on the map become very one-dimensional. It's very, very clear that you need to open on the lanes. And if you, for example, roam as a top lane, let's say you play a tank top lane that loses lane and you want to find times to group, the enemy top laner can make it so it's so damn costly because waves are so damn fast and also they spawn so quickly as the game progresses. So in terms of options in the game, there are very, very few. It doesn't help at the same time that the idea of grouping and sacrificing a wave or some playthings for, of course, an objective takes you so long because not only is it easier for them to access and push deep waves because of Phaelites and just because of the nature of Home Guard, they also made at the same time dragons a lot more tanky. So if you're killing the second Drake, third Drake, the damage scaling of your ADC, of mid, is very limited. Obviously, if you have true damage in your kit, you do a lot of damage, but junglers is the only role that does any real damage to objectives. Because obviously, there's this, the dragons are just gotten more tanky, armor pen doesn't work on dragons, and at the same time, the more dragons you kill, the tankier they are. So the cost of doing objectives and grouping is insane, and then the cost of losing side is also at the same time insane. And now the gameplay is so damn fast because you pretty much have a scenario where the waves are going so fast, you can base all the time, you can be in the lane all the time, there's always fighting, there's almost no downtime at all. If you are, for some reason, behind on your quest curve, it's very punishing too. And I do think that top lane right now, in terms of red side counter pick, is just so damn powerful because top lane has plain and simple gotten very, very rock, paper, scissory. Because in the past, at least, let's say you had a weaker matchup, you would scale into the game. Let's say you pick a tank top, you would scale into the game, and then you would find opportunities to group, and you kind of traded off the cost of the enemy being stronger in the individual lane against you being stronger in group, unless they picked like a champion that also scaled well, like a Gwen or something. But usually those champions were a little bit weaker, and of course, the lane in the contrast of, let's say, the ranged top laners. Ranged top laners, for example, if you pick Cassandra, someone picked Vayne, you could lane swap out of that lane. You could find gank timers to punish. But now a Vayne with double aggressive summoners and the capacity to, of course, ward, it does make it a lot more punishing. Like the only tank really that is happy with the new season is called Ornn because he benefits a lot from a lot of the experience. But in terms of top lane, it's very clear that the champions that are very strong in isolation, that really benefit from having additional summoners, are very happy. Proxying, of course, got a little bit better. So Singe is up here too. But you can see that, in terms of what top lane is, it's all about just matchup, 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 matchup. Because if you are ahead on the matchup, you can just suffocate the shit out of the enemy team and they can't really save you. There's no like Caitlyn, pushes out bot and has prio, swaps into top side. It's too punishing quest-wise. So the gameplay loop is just so predictable. In terms of strategic depth, there's very little. In most cases, if you're strong, you open on side, push side, and the enemy needs to match you. And if they try to gank you, you just have to kind of synchronize that together with pushing the other lane. So the game is just incredibly, incredibly snowballing across the board. The only roles with any form of agency is, of course, jungle and support. You will find some TP timers sometimes if you're a top laner, if you let's say you proxy a wave, you can go into mid. But I do think that another issue about how strong top lane is that in the past, as the game progressed, your mid laner could sometimes be a champion that is strong into a top laner, but that is so rarely relevant now because of the additional XP the top lane gets, and at the same time, it just them having an additional aggressive summoner. So it makes things a lot more difficult and streamlined in terms of what your gameplay is. It's basically like you open on one side, push all the way, put Phaelites down, you can defend yourself. The enemy needs to waste time to kill you. Sure, there's like global champions like Twisted Fate, Rise, and all that jazz that can maybe, attack you inside, like a Twisted Fate that is doing super well on the patch. But other than that, if you're strong on side, if you die on side, you're probably just inting or just misusing your wards, There's options of lane ganking or whatever, but just being in a counter match up top feels really, really miserable. I think in terms of the ADC pool, it's very skewed by items, obviously. Like crits, champions are very happy. Essence Reaver champions are even happier, right? Like the Lucian and the Smolder and the Sivir, they're very happy with Essence Reaver. Jungle is very skewed by Dusk and Dawn and champions that can actually gank through Phaelites, like Nunu and Willamp and Rek'Sai. Nunu, as a champion, the reason he's performing so well is because of what I mentioned before. It's just that jungle, like the objectives are so damn tanky, but Nunu on Q has 2 damage, so he actually kills the objectives so damn fast because of 2 damage and the biggest smite. He can just chomp it twice into smite and he kills Drakes late on in the game too. And he can gank through Phaelites because of the speed of W. And Rek'Sai is one of the few champions that can actually gank through angles and avoid Phaelites too. And then the rest of the champions are just giga fast clearers like Zed or just champions that abuse Dusk and Dawn. Ramo's a little bit of an outlier because of the new item. Obviously, Protoplasm Harness is really good because the amount of heal you get is increased by your armor and MR. So when it pops, you're very tanky. But at the same time, as mentioned before, now jungle pet damage has been buffed and it scales the best with tanky stats and with AP stats. So clear speed is king, and AD champions benefit the least from the bonus of course, jungle pet damage. But I just feel, the game is incredibly snowbally, the game is incredibly fast, strategic depth is very minimal. Most of the time, like, you can get away with opening on 3 lanes and just pushing them if you're strong. Because if the enemy invests time into ganking, let's say they need 3 man to kill enemy really at top, you kill him, but then the enemy is just pushing mid and bot at the same time, and you're going to lose gold. So that gameplay loop feels really, really just boring to me. Because rock, paper, scissors in the game, it's like, to me, it's just not League of Legends, It's like picking range top should come at a risk. Picking like very deep counters should come at a risk. Enemy picked Irelia into my champ, it's okay. When we get to team fights and I get help from my team, I just need to stay even. Like, the reward of that is just non-existent. They've turned League of Legends into a mobile game, in my opinion, where it's all about lane phase, lane phase, lane phase. And then your support and jungle have agency and they're dynamic. They're like the most similar to previous seasons, but at the same time, you need to abuse home guards, you need to open through lane. At least junglers get move speed from, of course, jungle pet when they complete the quest. But I'm not super happy. If I would propose changes in my mind, I think that increasing the wave spawn time, like basically decreasing the wave spawn time, meaning that they come more frequently, I think that was a very, very bad change. I think if you want waves to be more forcing and be more menacing, I do think that increasing the size of the wave would make more sense than making the wave spawn more often. Because what happens is, as you contest mid wave, 20 seconds you kill it, and then the next wave is just sprinting already. 20 seconds, it comes, respawned again, and it moves faster than before. So the window of operation, the window of like a collective thing to do as a team is just so narrowed down. And I do think that League of Legends was moving towards a gameplay loop that was more focused on team fighting. And they, of course, did that with changing how the jungle kind of alcoves around river were changed. Because obviously, it was very complicated to approach Drake fights when it came to how to approach the map. Like you watch Worlds, for example, before they changed the actual river, how Zeus was sort of flanking and playing around space was extremely in-depth and strategic. And then they changed the river to be very, very simple, meaning it's like, oh, banana bush is the most important bush. We have control over that one. We can contest Drake. And I think that made team fights more accessible. It made the game very team fight centric. We saw at Worlds, the game was very team fight centric. And I do think that that is like peak League of Legends to me. I understood that kind of vision in terms of pushing the game in that direction and hoping that, of course, you have, just more accessible team fights, more team fights, because I do think that's the best way League of Legends is played. A lot of the, split pushing strategies, obviously they got nerfed along the way, but because they were just extremely toxic. It was not fun for 9 players when someone was just split pushing the whole game. And I do think there is a balance to land on. I think the melee's doing more damage to towers is cool. The chip damage on towers being meaningful and you getting plating gold on tier 2s, I think that's cool. It's just that it's way too much in the opposite direction. That winning on side is just too difficult. So I think the Phaelites are too powerful. Minion speed is just too much. And I think if they cut down on that, I think there's like kind of a happy medium over there. It's like, of course, with Home Guard, there's a lot of matchups now that are being played that couldn't be played before because they were too difficult. Because you can just base and come back with Home Guards because the tempo is just so damn crispy and fast. Obviously, we're early in season, so a lot of assassins that could just go and roam and kill you over and over again are very happy on the patch. But yeah, I'm not super happy in the current game state. It's just it just feels like a mobile game. And obviously, I'm not coming from a point of view of someone that is like salty. I'm 19-4 on the new season. Like I'm abusing the shit out of my knowledge in terms of pushing side. Whenever I'm behind in the game, I just push side the entire way. Like I'm already in master lobbies, right? I'm playing like with this GM. Like I'm really high elo lobbies already. Like in my mind, the home guard business, the damn minion speed needs to change. For those wondering, from our side, we're screaming Los Ratones. It's also very challenging for the teams. It's like we need to kind of relearn the whole game. Obviously, it's like we're figuring out the meta game as we see, but in terms of champions, and now as well, they reinvented the whole game. And in past seasons, that was okay. That was a part of the loop. But I do think it's very challenging. It's very challenging for us because we have players with very, very specific skill sets that you want to express through the patch, but we are trying to navigate on how to still have our own personality within the game. And for us right now, it's quite difficult. But I think the general sentiment for me in regards to where the game is at, I'm not super happy. Obviously, there's a couple of items here and there. Outliers are very OP. I trust Riot to be able to fix that. But I do think that just split pushing and winning top is just way too important. I think just winning side, winning solo lane is it's impossible to overcome it. Because if a top laner gets fed, they get way too fed. So I do think that top lane quest in general just needs to be nerfed in terms of power as well. But yeah, that was a bit of a rant. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is me keeping up with you guys. It's 22:40 here. I just wanted to post something and talk about the new patch and say hello to you guys. If you want to abuse, as mentioned before, counter pick top lane, GG. Jungle abuse tanks and Dusk and Dawn. Really, really good. Tanks and Dusk and Dawn, AP champions clear super fast. Abuse that, abuse that, abuse that. Then mid lane, I think that global ults are good. If you're a good assassin player, just roam the map and explode lanes, and you're happy too. It's something that you can do. Cashback is just in a very, very strong place. Kiana players aren't playing cashback, which is surprising. I figured they would play cashback. Cashback is 56.2, but a very small sample size. They want to have the damage of sudden impact, but I feel like when you have lethality items, they're so cheap, getting cashback is so strong. And then you also have access to, of course, the Force Potion that is very, very powerful. And then for support, I think that the added gold, it's like support got buffed, that they got more GP 10 from 5 to 9, and pings cost less, which just means that the access to a lot of these items becomes a lot easier, like supports are rich, bro. They are rich. They are like 2016 invested in Bitcoin type rich, and which makes the scaling of these champions a lot easier to, of course, attain, which is very relevant. And then you tie that, of course, to the AD carry pool that is being played. If Essence Reaver is a very powerful item, you're going to see Smolder, you're going to see Lucian, you're going to see Sivir, and they are going to, of course, enjoy playing with the Namis and the Sonas and so forth. But another item that is very powerful that is already going to get nerfed is, of course, Bandle Pipes. Bandle Pipes is giga broken. I don't know. From the first day when I read this item, we knew it was OP. Everyone's been abusing this entire time. I feel like the 300 gold nerf is not enough. This item, if they added an effect that when you slow somebody, you have some pipes that like Bard plays or some shit, I think the item would be even more OP. But nevertheless, I leave you to it. Thank you very much for watching till the end. I'll catch you guys on in the next one, and peace.